Hey everyone, Mr. Newman here, and today we're going to show you a new trick how to get a parabola from just knowing the roots. So first off, let's work forwards and do a refresher reminder how we find the roots. Remember, if you have a quadratic equation, in front of the x squared there's a 1, and so we want to write factors of 1 times 4 because it's the first a times c, and that's factors of 4. There's 1 and 4, and there's 2 and 2. And we want to know which ones add to 5, so that's 1 and 4. So the way I do it, I factor out of the box, put the 1x and the 4x there, but if you do it the other way, you can, and you should end up with x plus 4 and x plus 1. Just if we want to find the zeros, though, we need to say 0 equals those two factors, x plus 1 times x plus 4, and we set up our baby equation. So 0 equals x plus 1, 0 equals x plus 4. Now, solving each of those equations, subtract 1 from both sides, you get negative 1 equals x. Subtract 4 from both sides, you get negative 4 equals x. Those are our roots. So, could you work backwards is my next question. What if I had told you the roots were negative 1 and negative 4? Could you find x plus 1 and x plus 4? Well, sure, it's just kind of like x and then the opposite of whatever you have. So, let's do this other problem. What if I said the roots of a quadratic are negative 1 and negative 7? You would tell me the factors are x plus 1 because of the negative 1 and x plus 7 because of the negative 7. Do you see why they're the opposite? They're the opposite because you have to solve the equation of that equals 0. Now, if those are the equations, what's the parabola? Or if those are the factors, what's the equation for the parabola? Well, that just means we multiply them together, and you can put parentheses there if it helps you see those factors. When we write it, we do have to write it with parentheses because we're multiplying the two factors together. That's what a factor is. And I'm just going to multiply them using my Punnett square to get standard form. Remember, standard form is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So we're going to multiply them out however you wish to do that. And when I multiply, we fill out the box, and we get y equals x squared plus 8x plus 7. And that is the equation in standard form. The zeros of that equation are negative 1 and negative 7. And I know that because we set it up that way. If I were to factor it, I'd get x plus 1 and x plus 7. And the opposite of those are the zeros. So let's recap those steps. First of all, in general, if the roots are a and b, then the factors are x minus a and x minus b, the opposite of a and b. Let me give you two examples. What if 5 and negative 7 were my two zeros? Well, x minus 5 is going to be one of the factors, and x minus negative 7 is going to be the other one. Well, that's a fancy way of saying x plus 7. So my two factors would be x plus 7 and x minus 5, because those would give me the roots of 5 and negative 7. Then, to move it into standard form, we just multiply the roots. And just a reminder, standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c, where the x squared term comes first, the linear or x term comes second, and the constant, or the one without an x, is last. So, let's do an example problem. The roots of a quadratic are negative 2 and 3. What are the two factors? Well, the opposite of negative 2 is going to be x plus 2, and the opposite of 3 is x minus 3. And I have to be careful about using the word opposite, because really, that factor goes with that root. They're not really opposites at all. They're really the same thing. What if I wanted to write it in standard form? Well, let's see real quick. The negative 2 goes with the plus 2, and the 3 goes with the minus 3. What if I wanted to write it in standard form? Well, I need to multiply it. So let's write it out in the Punnett square, x squared, negative 3x, 2x, and negative 6. So the negative 3x and the 2x are going to add together. There are like terms. So we write y equals, because that's our equation for a parabola, x squared. Negative 3x plus 2x becomes negative 1x, or just negative x. And then the minus 6 at the end. So x squared minus x minus 6 is the equation in standard form. In order to find a line of symmetry, we want to look at halfway between the two zeros. Well, my zeros are negative 2 and 3. So to find halfway between them, I'm going to add them together and divide by 2. Negative 2 plus 3 is 1. So 0.5 is our line of symmetry. For the vertex, that we're going to find by using the line of symmetry because it's on the line of symmetry. So when x is 0.5, what is y? Well, to get that, we can just plug it into the equation or the function. So 0.5 squared minus 0.5 minus 6. And when you calculate it out, you can honestly just type that in your calculator. Y is negative 6.25. That means our point, the vertex, is 0.5, comma, negative 6.25. Last thing we need to do is I want to sketch this. So if this is our equation, I'm using all the same equation, I'm just hopping over where I can draw it on the graph. My line of symmetry is the first thing I want to draw, a sketch, because then when I have that drawn, anything I draw on the left of the line of symmetry, I can just mirror over to the right. If that is 1, if the units are 1, then that is my line of symmetry, 0.5 equals x. And the vertex is the next thing I'm going to draw. That's going to tell me where the point is. Now, if that point is there, let's make a table of some other points. And I would recommend plugging in points really close to the vertex. So if I plug in 0, for example, I'm going to do that by putting it into our equation, into our function. We have 0 squared minus 0 minus 6 is negative 6. So 0, negative 6 is another point on the parabola. Negative 1, since I'm moving left, might as well keep going. If I plug in negative 1 into the function, I get negative 4. So negative 1, negative 4 is another point. Plug in negative 2, you get 0. And negative 2, 0 is another point. Now I could just reflect this over that line of symmetry, but I'm going to go ahead and plug in some points just to make sure I did the math correctly on the left side. So you plug in 1, you get negative 6. Plug in 2, you get negative 4. And if you plug in, I don't have room, but I can put it, if you plug in 2 or 3, you get 0. And you can check that. Then it's just a matter of connecting the points. That is how you sketch a parabola from an equation. Thank you very much for watching.